Good morning, YouTube family. Good afternoon or good evening. I'm not sure where you are, but welcome. Welcome to Escape from Crazytown. This is our Happy Crappy Hour live stream every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time in the US. Just checking in here with you guys. I hope that you guys are able to get on. Hi. Yay, I'm seeing some of you guys get on. I was trying to set up a live stream earlier, and for some reason it was going to do, I don't know what I hit, but it was going to capture my actual computer screen or my phone screen. But anyway, I hope that that has been fixed and it's not out there in cyberspace somewhere confusing people. But good morning. Hey, John Bailey, good to see you. Hey, you guys. Wow. Well, we have quite a topic today because it was inspired by a viewer who wrote in quite distraught, and she was wondering, well, her narcissist ex came to her or talked to her and said that he was going to change for the new supply. He told her that he's coming clean, he's not lying to the new supply. He's going to tell her the entire truth of everything that's happened, I guess, in his relationship with her, but also with the drama that surrounds him. As you know, narcissists, wherever they go, will have drama, will have conflict. And of course, from their side of the story, they're always the victim, and everybody else is attacking them or taking advantage of them. And they continue to go to each new supply or new flying monkey or new social group and share those types of stories with their new people, right? Their new supply sources. But this narcissist says to her, well, I'm going to come clean. I'm actually telling her everything that happened, even the stuff that I'm ashamed of what I did, and how I cheated or how I lied or whatever they did, manipulated, how they used people. And she was really upset, like, oh my gosh, why is he changing for her, but he never changed for me? So that is the big question. That's what inspired today's topic. That's why I want to get into that today. Michelle, good to see you. And Mike, hi there. Michelle says, no, they don't. It's just a matter of time. It's a pattern. And yes, it is a pattern. But today I have a personal story that when the viewer wrote that question to me, it brought up this experience I had with the narcissist, where that exact same thing happened. I didn't look at it as the narcissist telling me I'm not going to lie anymore or that they have changed, but they behaved as if they had changed. And oh my gosh, this story was so good. I got to tell you about that. But before we get to that, I want to say welcome. I want to give you guys a couple more minutes to come on. And while you're coming on, I wanted to talk about what Happy Crappy Hour is. It's when we share our week, it's when we share what happened that was good this week. That's the happy. And we want to keep doing the things that are good, right? And then we're going to share if there had been anything bad that happened. And, we can discuss how to handle it if it's still going on, and if it was really bad or a setback that we caused ourselves, then we want to identify it and talk about how we're not going to do that again, and not avoid it, right? We want to be able to identify the things that we don't want to continue to do if they're bad for us. And that's the crappy. So, yeah, like, oh my gosh. So let me see what my happy was. You guys can get on and tell me about what your happies were as well. But let me see. My happy was that, oh my gosh, I don't know if I talked about this, but I went tubing again. It was so awesome. Yeah, it was, I just love getting out into nature and doing things with my friends and my family. It's so good. It's so good to connect. And my crappy was I did go out and try to bike ride and found out that my back wheel is so warped that my back end of my bike was just wobbling all over the place. My friend who was behind me was telling, and it was flat, the tire, even though we tried to pump it up. Oh my gosh. But we ended up being able to pump up the tire, and I ended up being able to ride for, I don't know, I think it was like just a couple of miles, but it was kind of funny, and sad at the same time because of the tire. But what do I care what people think? The bike still moved and we had a good time. I'm now looking for a new bike. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, I got to learn about bicycles, by the way. I don't know anything about them other than, getting on and pedaling and shifting gears. I can do that a little bit. I got to learn how to do that more efficiently. So those are my happies and crappies. Uh, when something bad happens to you and it throws you off, you can just throw in the towel and say, forget it, the day is ruined. Or you can just, deal with what you've got at the moment, the problem at hand, and you solve it. I really encourage you to do the same, instead of getting discouraged or upset or seeing the financial cost of it. Um, just realize, you know what? I've got this person here with me right now. I'm going to enjoy my time with them and we're going to make the best out of this. And we did. We had a really good time. And afterwards, we went out for sushi. Hey, rewarded ourselves. It all turned out good. So, you guys, you're coming on here. So good to see you. Mike says, sometimes I feel like I'm a bit narcissistic. Oh, we can talk about that as well. Recently I talked to another friend of mine who was kind of surprised when I said, sometimes we may take on the traits of the narcissist. And she said, what? What do you mean? Why? How? And the reason for that is because if we've been abused, if we've been traumatized, our defenses will come up. And defenses are not always good. Okay. Sometimes our defenses become toxic. Sometimes we adopt toxic defenses. And until we learn how to practice healthy defenses, we may continue to exhibit or take on the toxic defenses. So for instance, some people will build up really high walls and say, I'm never going to trust anybody again. And they convince themselves that everybody is a user out there, right? Because they've been used, they've been abused, they've been traumatized by these narcissists in their life, right? And you're reeling and you just feel like, gosh, is everybody like this? And how do I protect myself? Well, I'm going to protect myself by never trusting anybody again. All right. Okay. So now a person comes into your life, you are getting into a relationship and you start to not trust that person, right? You just say, you've convinced yourself, I'm never going to trust you. So you grill them. Where were you? You were 5 minutes late. What were you doing? I saw the way you looked at him. I saw the way you looked at her, So you start to become real suspicious, untrusting because you're carrying that on from your trauma with the narcissist or a toxic or abuser, right? Toxic person or an abuser. And however you were abused there, however you were traumatized there, you may take that on as you react with a defensive mode that then carries on into a relationship, which makes you seem controlling, which makes you seem, paranoid. And and then you require the other person to prove to you always, and you require them to affirm you always. No, I'm always here for you. I would never cheat on you. And they have to keep telling you over and over again that, they love you and they care about you. And there's no one, they would ever want to be with except for you. And it's this constant affirmation that you need because you didn't get that from the narcissist. So you see, there are times that we may take on narcissistic characteristics, and especially people who've been raised by narcissists. Okay. You have learned to walk on eggshells. You have learned how to, in a way, not, I don't want to say manipulate, but essentially it is. You've learned how to, what's a better word? Like how to behave with people to get the results you want. Okay, because you had to behave a certain way with your narcissistic, traumatic, abusive parent or siblings. And you knew you had to lie to them in order for them not to get mad at you. So you learned to lie. So now you take that into your current relationships. You lie to get what you want. You lie to get the reaction you want. You lie to avoid people blowing up at you. And you become maybe even good at lying. It's terrible. I hope you don't become good at lying. In my experience, You really don't become good at it, although you try and you get caught. In my experience with people who come out of trauma and they try to take on the narcissist characteristics, or they don't try, they just naturally start to exhibit those characteristics because they learned how to cope by using the same characteristics, using the same tools that the narcissist used with them. You know, a lot of denial, a lot of subversive behavior, a lot of deceit to try to hide because you don't want the narcissist to blow up at you, just stuff like that. Well, you guys, we are going to get on to topic here, you guys. It's so good to see you coming on, Jihad. Good to see you. Good morning. I want to see if there are some questions coming up as well. No contact now for 16 days, says John. Woohoo! Good job. Good job. We were talking about that last week, you know, how your narcissist will try to contact you, and it's so important to stay away and stay no contact because especially when you know that their situation is still a bad situation and they may already be with somebody else. They're already in with their new supply, either engaged or married and have kids with their new supply, and they're contacting you. Huge sign to stay away. That's a huge sign. TTT, good to see you. Oh, thank you. Real talk, good morning. I'm so glad that you're here. Let me see here, you guys. So, okay, let's get on to the topic. And I want to tell you about the experience I had and why it seems to fit this question. Does the narc really change for the new supply? All right, so the narcissist that I'm thinking about has a reputation of using women, okay? So tons of women coming into his life all the time. He seems to be, he wouldn't call it cheating because he says he's not committed to any one person, but I think he does cheat. I'm actually certain that he does. He just won't admit that he does. So here's the thing. Women come, excuse me, I gotta get a drink of water for a second. Excuse me. So women come into his life and he goes from woman to woman. He generally started to, you know, he decided, okay, instead of dating multiple women, he wanted to focus in on maybe one at a time. And he's been married before, so he has focused in on one at a time before. And he's thinking, you know, he's been divorced a couple of times at this point, and then he decided, you know, hey, maybe it's time for me to focus in on one woman. So he does. He finds this one woman who is about half his age. So he was in his 40s and she's in her 20s, and he tells her everything. He tells her the big turmoil that he was in this organization, right? And not all the people, but a few of the people in this organization had approached him and said, look, it's inappropriate that you keep, I won't even call it dating, because it's not dating if all you're doing is hooking up, okay, you guys? That's something in this culture nowadays. People say, oh, I'm dating so-and-so. No, you're not dating so-and-so if all you're doing are the booty calls. That's not dating. That's just sex. So anyway, this is what he's doing. He's having a ton of sex with a bunch of different people in this organization. And of course, word gets around like, hey, that's why they discourage dating in the, you know, at work, because you're going to see this person every day, all the time, or every week, you know? And not only that, they're going to know each other. All the different people you're dating are going to know each other. And it's going to cause a lot of drama in the organization. Anyway, so this is what he did. He decided to zero in on one person in that organization who was kind of new to the organization. She comes in, doesn't know anybody from anyone. He tells her what's been going on, who he's been sleeping with, who's been you know, answering his booty calls, who's been whatever, everything. Like, it seemed like he was coming clean. So I'm talking to him, and I know this is a terrible match for him, and this is just another sexual encounter for him. This is not a long-term, I'm going to fall in love with this woman. She's everything I've ever wanted in a person type of person for him. This is, you could tell, was a temporary. Oh my gosh, I've got some dogs over here going crazy. um, they're not my dogs, so I think my neighbors are getting a hold of those. So you guys, so he and I were talking one day, and I'm talking because he was a friend of mine, all right? So I was trying to figure out what, and at this time I did not know about narcissism. I didn't understand. I just was trying to figure out, why is this guy always, going from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next? Why is he chasing so many people? Or actually, they were chasing him too. So, and I saw that it was not healthy in the organization, not, it was going to end up in a big, terrible train wreck. Okay. I just knew it was. And it was becoming a train wreck because, I guess the higher ups in the organization had contacted him, a couple of people, and they sat down with him and told him how this is not appropriate behavior there. So he got all upset. Now they become his enemy, right? These people who used to be his advocates, his friends, he advocated for them. He had their back, but now he's like wishing death on them because how dare they approach him and criticize him? And because, you cannot do that to a narcissist. But like I said, I did not know at the time what narcissism was. I didn't know what, yeah. So anyway, here he goes. He's telling me, yeah, I'm telling her everything. I'm letting her know all about me and all the gossip, all the rumors, all the different women I'd been with. And I'm like, why are you telling her all of this? He goes, well, here's the deal. He wanted her on his side. He wanted her to take his side in all of this. He spun it in such a way that it sounded like somehow he was the victim in all of this, and he was being criticized, or he was being judged. Everybody's so judgmental, and how he wasn't the one hurting anybody, and it was just everybody else using him. So all these other women using him. Okay, so that's one reason that came out, was why he was coming clean and telling her everything, appearing as if he's not going to lie to her. That's what my viewer had asked me, because she came on and she said, how come my ex told me he's not going to lie to his new supply like he lied to me? He's going to come clean with her and have a real relationship with her. This is the exact same thing the narcissist in my story was doing. He was assuming, like, I'm not going to lie to her. I'm not going to deceive her into thinking that nothing has been going on. Well, he couldn't deceive her because it was going to come out anyway. It was on the verge of coming out to everybody. So he's going to beat the news. He's going to beat everybody to the punch. He's going to let her know. So it's sort of damage control. Okay, you guys, that's what it is. If your narcissist is telling you, well, I've changed, I'm no longer a liar, no longer a cheater, they are trying to do damage control with the new supply, because they know eventually the information is going to get to the new supply, and the new supply is going to have to know what to do with this information. So the narcissist is already preparing the new supply for the information that's going to come out. So tells them the story. At least in this way, they can give them the landscape and paint it whichever way benefits the narcissist. That's what he was doing. So he's telling her this story about what's going on in the organization, how he's being singled out. Holy crud, my dog is out and wandering. Uh-oh, you guys, I may have to. Max, hey, you. Oh my gosh, he's gone. He's gone. Oh, I hope he comes back. Come here. Hey, get back over here. How did you get out? Ugh. So you guys, oh my gosh. So yeah, so damage control is what, and then they're setting the landscape. They're setting the picture for the new supply. So the new supply, will discount any news or information that comes her way. Is the narcissist really changed for this person? Oh, here's one of the best parts. Come here. Oh, good, you're back. Oh, thank goodness. So, what happened is, I'm sitting here talking to, I was sitting there talking to the narcissist, and I said, okay, so you're telling your new person, your new woman, that, all these truths and that you got caught up in this and that. You're being reprimanded, unjustly, of course, right? For whatever. You're being targeted by the higher ups in the organization. This is what the narcissist is telling the new supply. And I said, what happens now when you dump your new supply? I didn't call her a new supply. I said, your new, this person. And he had this look of shock on his face because it never occurred to him that after he's done using her, after he's gotten tired of her, after all of her faults become unbearable to him, right? And he discards her. Then what is she going to think of him? Is she going to still believe the story of how he was the victim, of how he didn't use people, of how all these other people were unjustly targeting him and criticizing him? Oh my gosh, it was so weird to see his face, because his face, it was like you could see it dawn on him for the first time ever. Like, oh my gosh, what? How? It never occurred to him that she could at some point down the road become another one of the women that he's jilted, another one of the women that's going to feel used, another one of the women that's going to know that he was manipulating her all this time to get affirmation, to get her on his side, to get another, flying monkey on his side and against the other people who are accusing him. She was going to become one of his accusers. Yeah, once he was done with all of that, once he was done with her, she will then become just like all the other women that he had treated the same way. And here's the deal. I kind of watched this relationship, not kind of. I did. I guess it was kind of, because I wasn't completely involved. I wasn't listening to both sides of the stories. I didn't hear what was going on for her. I just heard or saw from afar what was going on with them, and it seemed like they were quite into each other. He showed me a few of her, what do you call it? Text messages, I guess, right? She's totally into him. She's telling him she loves him, stuff like this. And he responds with likewise, right? Rather than I love you too. So I don't know if he ever actually tells her I love you too, but she's under the impression that likewise, he's in love with her as well. So she's carrying on, and here's the deal. She's half his age. She does not have the experience that he has, but she thinks she's such a woman because, and so experienced because now she's with this guy who's 20 years older than she is. And she thinks, oh my gosh, I don't even want to get into too much detail about it, but he lured her in, especially with money. Here's the sad thing. Don't be attracted to a guy who flashes money, okay? Don't be attracted to a woman who flashes money. People who flash money are trying to attract the kind of person who's impressed by money. And even if all this time you hadn't been impressed by money, it still will feel nice when they splurge money on you. It'll still feel tempting, and it'll feel like, it'll make you feel special when they splurge on you. And to them, it's not a splurge. To them, it's just a drop in, it's pocket change. But they take you out to a really nice restaurant and you're like, wow, the guys I date nowadays don't take me to a really nice restaurant. Or they take you in their, $100,000 car and you're like, wow, I've never ridden in a $100,000 car. And they flash you around and put you on their arm and your jewelry to them. And you think, wow, I must be so special because they're wearing me, and you're not. Sadly enough, you're not. People who flash money and stuff like this. Anyway, this is what happens in their relationship too. So she's probably thinking, oh my gosh, this is the perfect guy. He treats her so well. He's sweeping her off her feet. And it does end. It does end. I got to tell you that. So at the a few months later, after she's totally on board with him, thinking that she's all this, she the supremo soulmate of his. I'm sure he's told her that she was his soulmate as well, and because that's what he tells all his women. But okay, he lets me know through the relationship here and there, the times that I saw him, times that I've run into him, and I would hear just, I mean, we didn't talk at length or, for hours or anything like that, but just, it was weird because it was just chit chat. And yet in his chit chat, he's revealing so much. He says how he thinks she doesn't have 5 vocabulary words in her, you know, in her conversations. He's so disappointed with her, her degree of IQ, and her intelligence. He mocks her intelligence. He puts down, and yet I'm like, well, then why the heck are you with her? Well, now at that point, he's like, well, I've told her too much. I've told her too much. So I have to keep playing this along so that and then eventually let her off easy so that she doesn't see that he was everything he said he wasn't at the beginning of their relationship. Okay, you guys? So when a narcissist tells you, I'm coming clean, I'm telling my new supply everything, I'm, warts and all, I'm going to tell them all the things I've been accused of, I've done wrong, how I've cheated, how I've lied, how I've slept with this many people. If the narcissist is telling you that they're changing for the new supply, it's not true. They are doing 1, damage control. 2, they are also in a position now where they are under scrutiny. They are being judged or criticized or in their mind singled out, right? And so they feel like they have to get somebody really quick on their side. So they're trying to, when you to get somebody's loyalty quickly, they're going to act as if they're vulnerable. They're going to act as if they're really open. They're going to act as if I'm sharing all this stuff that you could use against me right now, but I trust you. Okay? So they're trying to, as fast as they can, build loyalty in their new supply or from their new supply, right? So that's what they're really doing. But at the same time, it does appear, and it does, for all purposes, it seems like, yeah, they're coming clean. They're saying everything. They're putting all this information on the table in front for the new supply. Things that you had to spend months and years finding out yourself, all the cheating, you had to find that out on your own. And the lying and the manipulation and the blaming, where you realize, oh my gosh, I wasn't to blame. They were to blame. All this stuff that it took you months and years to learn, the narcissist is putting out right away at the very front, at the very beginning of their relationship with the new supply. And you're like, holy cow, they must be different. They must be changing. So that's why I wanted to tell you about this story. So once it ended, okay, you guys, I'm going to continue on with this story in a minute, but I do want to see what comments you have. And Real Talk, good morning. Good to see you. And see, Thomas, good to see you. He says, my ex-narc would keep going back and forth with all his exes and lies about it. Yes. So, oh my gosh, that's the other thing too. Each ex will think that they are the only one who's getting the full story. Each ex is going to think that they are the special one, that the narcissist is saying or telling everything to. And this has happened, I've seen this a few times in the comments as well, from viewers, where they feel as if, the new supply is laughing at them, right? The new supply is laughing at you and acting as if, yeah, he was just using you, but he's not just using me. He's really into me. I'm the special one. And of course, they're going to think that the old supply or you or the ex is the crazy ex that the narcissist is telling them about. So the new supply believes that the narcissist is being upfront, is being truthful, is telling them all the ugly stuff, not just about you, but even about them in the relationship, right? But they don't tell it in a way that makes them seem like well, actually, they will. They'll even say, you know what, I cheated on her and I felt so bad and I shouldn't have done that. But boy, I was in such a low point and just lost my job, or I just got demoted, or a friend of mine just passed away and I just needed some comfort and she wasn't there to comfort me. So that's when this other person just threw themselves at me. And that's why, they'll spin it, their cheating in a way to the new supply as if the cheating was warranted, right? As if the cheating was not so bad. Like, oh, well, you didn't go. No. And the truth of it would be their eyes were always wandering. Every time they went to a restaurant, they were scoping out every waitress. Every time they went out without the new supply, they were flirting with every woman they came in contact with. This person they cheated with did not just fall into their person they cheated with was being targeted by the narcissist. The person they were cheating with was being lured in by the narcissist. Okay, but they're not going to say it like that. They're going to get the new supply to think, wow, you cheated, that is horrible, but oh my gosh, I can see why you had to. That is the crazy, absolute nutsoid world that we find ourselves in, that in the end we end up swirling and going crazy and thinking what, and spinning, right? What in the world just happened? What is up? What is down? We don't understand what's truth and what are lies anymore, because you conceded to the narcissist all their bad behavior, right? You accepted it. And they, no matter what they said, badly they stole from the company. They stole $2,000 from their own company. Let's say they did that. Well, they're going to say it in a way where you are going to feel like, oh, but you were being Robin Hood. You had to take that money because, that money really was yours anyway. It should have been your commission, and they withheld your commission. So it makes sense that you took it. They'll make it sound as if the crime they committed was not a crime. All right. So here we are. I want to see where you guys are. Obi-Wan, hey, good to see you coming on here. C. Thomas says he married her recently, but I know it won't last because he tried to hoover me and many others while with her. Exactly. But because he married her, she feels she's the special one. He's the one that he proposed to when he could have proposed to any of the supplies, any of the other women that he claimed were throwing themselves at him. But when in actuality, he was pursuing, he was flirting with, he was targeting. Yes, but she was the one who was most vulnerable, maybe most naive. Maybe she was the one who had better supply for him. Maybe she came with some money, and sometimes women or men with children are supply to the narcissist, because as you know, no one person is enough for a narcissist. They need to have many adoring fans. So if you come with children, and your children adore the narcissist, that's like inheriting or taking on a whole group, what do you call it? I guess groupies, right? A whole family of groupies who are going to affirm the narcissist, who's going to build the narcissist up and give all this attention. Anyway, it's just absolutely crazy. Yeah. So, we do wonder, like, do they really change? They actually married this one. They used to philander all the time and they never settled down, and suddenly they settled down. Does that mean they've changed? No, it doesn't mean they've changed. It just means possibly the supply got to a certain point where the supply was going to walk out unless they get married. And the narcissist is like, I got to keep this going because I haven't monkey branched. I haven't found somebody else to go off with once you leave. So yeah, I got to keep you around a little bit longer. So yeah, I'll marry you. It could also be that, like I said, they come with benefits. They come with more supply, right? They come with money. They come with status. They come with connections. They come with a beautiful home. They come with, yeah, property, right? They come with children who can also admire the narcissist. So there's several reasons why the narcissist might settle for that one. Okay. Sadly, and very this, I don't even ever really want to go here in my mind, but I think sometimes the narcissist goes for the supply that has the child that they are most drawn to. And I don't want to say it's because they're going to molest the child later on, but I don't know what will happen once that child reaches their teen years and becomes a young woman or a young man, and how the narcissist is going to act with that. And I know of another couple where the narcissist did end up molesting her teenage daughter once the daughter became a teenager. Or at least attempted, and the teenage daughter was just like freaked out and scared about that. Had known this guy as her father, her stepfather, for at that point probably 10 years, right? So I mean, how do you grow it with a stepfather for 10 years and then he starts coming on to you? It's not like, oh, now I'm a teenager, I see you as a man. No, she's going to still see him as a stepfather. You're my father. Why? Anyway, things like that happen, and narcissists will I cannot even get into the mind of a narcissist that deeply to imagine what they might be thinking, but I can see how they're attracted to a young child who is incredibly cute or beautiful or handsome. Just, you've seen some really good looking little kids, right? And they have this kid always hugging their neck and kissing them and telling them, they love them and you're my best friend and you're my daddy or you're my mommy, or, just all over. I love you more than I love my real mommy. I love you more than I love my real daddy. Whatever the supply that child is giving to the narcissist. And then when they get older, when they become young, a young teenager, the narcissist starts seeing them as a young woman or a young man. They don't see them as a child anymore. And, that's the scary part, because narcissists do not have empathy. They don't see the difference and any boundaries here. They don't see that there's a no touch zone. Okay. They don't see that so anyway, I'm not going to go further into that. That's another scary thing that could be happening when the narcissist quickly marries their new supply. Jihad says, let me go back, you guys. Oh yeah, okay. Jihad says, yep, everything you're saying is exactly what happened to me. She did the same thing. It's like they program you into believing whatever they say. Yes, right? So I wanted to tell you what happens at the end of that other relationship. That once he discards her, and he always had planned to discard her, but he thought he was going to do it smoothly, right? And I don't know how the heck he thought it would be smooth, because she was convinced that they were going to get married. She was convinced that he was her soulmate and that she was his soulmate. She was convinced, that they had a future, right? That fake future together. So once he did discard her, and I don't know how he discarded her or what happened, but I did run into her afterwards, and I would have been willing to talk to her about him, but she didn't really broach that with me, so I didn't want to open it up. Like, if she wanted to ask me some questions, I could have responded and answered some, but I'm not going to seek people out and just give them information they didn't ask for. But she did say a few things. For one, she indicated that he said some things to her that led her to believe she was his one and only, and that they had a future together. And she was asking why, why would someone say these things? And at that time, actually, I did not know he was a narcissist. At that time, I still did not understand what narcissism was. So I couldn't give her the kind of explanation I'm giving to you guys now. I couldn't tell her, oh, this is their characteristic, this is their the way they're programmed, this is their cycle that they go through. I didn't know. All I knew was this guy has some problems, this guy has some severe problems. And the best I could have done for her, but I didn't know her that well, would have been to say, run the other direction. But I know she wouldn't have listened. She would not have listened. He was already telling her, right? He was already telling her all the things he had done in the organization. He had already told her there are all these women who are upset with him. He had already told her how all these women are accusing him of using her. I'm sorry, of using them. So now she ends up feeling used as well. But even coming from his mouth, she didn't believe that he was still the way he was with the other women. And I'm here to tell you, they remain the same way they were with you. However they are behaving with the new person, it seems like new tactics. It's just a little different. They tweak their tactics a little bit in order to gain loyalty and trust from the new supply. And the bigger the trauma, or the bigger the judgment, criticism, outing, or being outed, right? However it happens to them, whatever happens to them, they're going to respond slightly differently in order to do damage control. And that's what's going on. So you guys, let me see here. C. Thomas says, yes, I was told that he's a new man for me and changed. Yes. Oh my gosh, right? Yeah, they convince their new supply that they are new, here's another thing. You inspire me to be a different man or a different woman. I was terrible with all these other people, but because you are so special, you bring out the best in me. You make me a better person. You make me want to be a better person. And here's the deal. That's not a terrible thing to say. And with me and my husband, it's true. My husband makes me want to be a better person because I love him so much. And here's the deal. A better person as in he makes me want to heal my wounds so that I can love him fully, so that he can get the kind of wife that he deserves. So I know that my wounding brings in negative things into our relationship. My wounding brings in, the way I was raised brings in negative behavior that that I've learned in order to cope. So like I was telling you at the beginning of this video, the kind of thing that happens when you've been traumatized in narcissistic relationships, being raised by a narcissist or being traumatized by one, you may take on coping mechanisms that are going to be toxic to your next relationship, to the relationship that is healthy and good for you. You might be the one that brings in the unhealthy because you're bringing all this wounding. Well, my husband is the kind of man that makes me want to be a better woman. And not just a better woman because I was just such a horrible woman before, but a better woman because I want to heal from my wounding for his sake, because he deserves a woman who loves him deeply and just admires him, because he's such a great guy. He really is. He's such an amazing, tender, loving, kind, but also strong. I mean, this man can definitely be an alpha, if you will. I hate to say terms like alpha and betas, but I think there are a lot of fake alphas out there who are being encouraged to be narcissistic, arrogant jerkoids, okay? That's not what I'm talking about as an alpha. I'm talking about an alpha as in a man who leads other men into battle, a man who would sacrifice himself for others. That's an alpha. That's an alpha to me. Those other arrogant turkeys, those are not alphas. Those are just, anyway, we're not going to get into that. That's a different video for another time. Yeah. So you guys, it's good that you want to be a better person for the person you love, but a narcissist will make the new supply believe that they are going to stop lying, they're going to stop cheating, they're going to stop all these other things. But all these other things are not um, caused by wounding, okay? All these other things are their manipulations. It's not like they're trying to heal themselves so that they can love the other person well. They're trying to put aside different kinds of manipulations, or they're not even really doing that. They'll just, it's just words. They're just words that the narcissist will use to make the new supply feel super special and different than all the other supply they've ever had. Okay, guys, let me see here. Oh. Casey Thomas says, yes, she had. I that he's a new man for me and changed. Oh yeah, I just had read that. Yep. Obi-Wan says, my narc is so childish. Yeah, and some narcissists continue to simply be child. All of them are childish, actually. Some of them just never get their act together enough to do well in society, sadly enough. But some of them are able to put on such a facade, such a veneer, that they fool people into believing they're mature, they have it all together, they're successful. Oh yes, the Bernie Madoff types, right? I was just watching another crime show where this guy had made off with $100 million, had stolen from so many people. From the time he was in college, he actually spent all of his fraternity's money. He became their treasurer, and one day somebody was writing a check for the fraternity, some bills they had, right, electricity or something, and the check bounced. And so they approached this guy, and this guy convinces the police that he took the money because he was owed this money from the fraternity for doing work for the fraternity. So the police never charged him. Yeah, incredible, incredible. And then he just went on from there into his adult life. He built up some Ponzi scheme over and over again, and has fled the country. And I guess he's an international fugitive now. But yeah, on the outside, it looks like they have it all together. On the outside, it looks like they're successful. On the outside, every man wants to be this man, right? On the outside, it looks like every woman wants to be with him, every man wants to be him, It's that old baloney fake, veneer. And then they show you that, and then you think, oh, they do have it all together, and they are great. Yeah. Mike says, I got gaslighted. Yeah, you guys, I don't know if you know what gaslighting is, but probably you do. But gaslighting is when you feel like you're going crazy, actually. Gaslighting is when they tell you, yeah, we were going to meet at 6 o'clock. Well, why did you think we were meeting at 5 when they show up late, right? So you're like, well, no, you're an hour late. We were supposed to meet at 5. No, you definitely said 6 o'clock. I know you said 6 o'clock. And they convince you of this. And then you're like, wow, I don't even remember having that conversation, changing it to 6 o'clock, but okay. So little by little, they change facts on you. Little by little, they even move things. I guess comes from a movie back in the 50s or 60s where there was this guy who's trying to make his wife feel like she's going insane so that she could be committed to an insane asylum, and he could inherit all of her money. So he would move things around in the house, like he'll move her keys. She thinks she put her purse down on the coffee table, and then he'll move it, like stick it in the freezer. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with you. Why would you put it in the freezer? And she's like, I don't remember putting it in the freezer. That's gaslighting. Okay, you guys. So they make you feel like you're going insane. You question your own facts. You don't know. You don't even trust your instincts anymore because they've convinced you that you're getting all this information wrong. You've messed up so many times the times that you were supposed to meet. You're like, anyway, just stuff like that is absolutely crazy making. C. Thomas says, yes, it's sad because she knows him but still stays with him. Yeah. You know what? They think they know them. They think that, oh, this narcissist has revealed everything to me, has shown me their vulnerable side, has told me what other people are criticizing them of, accusing them of. They're coming clean with me. I mean, and the new supply, that's how they get the new supply's loyalty and trust, by acting as if they're vulnerable. Okay, where are we here, you guys? I'm just looking to see. Crystal. Hey, good to see you, Crystal. I'm glad you're here. Says, hi, everyone. Narcissists will never change. I'm trying to forgive and feel bad for the new supply. Yeah, you know what? It is hard to feel bad for the new supply. But you know what? It's not up to you to feel bad for them. It is sad. They're going to have to learn like everybody else learned. You know, it's hope you can hope that they come across channels like this and learn, like, oh my gosh, and identify, oh my gosh, this is what I'm really in. I didn't know. And I'm hoping that for these other people too, that, like I said, I don't know them well. I just know that they were used by the narcissist. I try to stay anonymous because I don't want the narcissists to come at me and say, hey, you're talking about me, which I am. But if they want to reveal themselves, they reveal themselves. It's not going to be because I'm revealing who they are. If they want to make a big stink about it and tell other people, she's talking about me on this video, they're welcome to do that, because it just will show who they are. Yeah, anyway, that's what it is. Mike says, I also get harassed, followed around, stalked, bullied by my ex and her flying monkeys and enablers. Oh my gosh, Mike, so sorry about that. That's the sad and hard part with, you know, how well they manipulate others, how well they spin stories to make it sound like they had to steal from you, they had to cheat on you, they had to lie to you, they had to rob you, they had to take your inheritance and spend it all. I mean, my gosh, they can convince people. I mean, even the police, like I was telling you that story about the guy who started off in his fraternity. I mean, he could have started off before then, who knows? But the first thing that the crime show talked about was when he was in a fraternity, he got voted as treasurer, and then he stole everything, stole all their money, and yet still convinced the police that he was owed that money. You know, incredible. Yeah. And then goes on later on, the next couple of decades, to steal how much? $100 million. $100 million from unsuspecting investors, if you will, in his Ponzi schemes. Yeah, so crazy. See, Thomas, says, that's what my narc used to do. Okay, but do use his money to get all his exes. Yes, right? Yeah, they do. They flaunt. And I don't want to call, you know, these different people gold diggers or anything like that, but when you get treated really well, when you get taken out, and you know, why can't I think of the word, but when they splurge on you, it just is so nice. Yeah. See, Thomas says, Mike, I have to ignore them. I also blocked all his enablers and try not to talk to them even when they reach out. Yeah, that's the hard thing too for me as well, is, you know, when the exes might reach out to me, I really haven't had to deal with that very much. I mean, I tread very carefully with that. I haven't let out a lot of information because I don't want it to go back to the narcissist and then turned into this crazy thing where I'm exposed. You know, that's another reason for this channel, honestly, is because this allows me to tell you what I'm learning. This allows me, or tell you what I have learned, allows me to share what I have learned to help people in a way where I don't have to accuse somebody. I don't have to criminalize someone. You know, I don't have to create drama where we're trying to avoid drama. but we just want to learn. We want to know how to handle these types of situations. We want to be aware. We want to be smart, right? So, and we want to heal. We want to heal from the trauma so that we don't carry that into our next relationship, or into a good relationship, or a relationship that could be good if we could let go of the bad. So, okay, you guys, here we go. Mike says, I believe money plays a big role in the gaslighting, manipulating, harassing, stalking. Yeah, it does. Harriet, good to see you. Says, she's trauma bonded like we all were. If anything, you ought to feel sorry for her. Yeah, you know, the new supply. And that's good. I do hope you get to that point where you feel sorry for the new supply. I know sometimes it's hard because the new supply is acting arrogant and as if they are better than all the other supplies because the narcissist ended up marrying them or ended up with them or is currently with them. So they think they're the end, you know, for the narcissist. They're the final supply for the narcissist. So amazing. Yep. So let me see. I had taken some notes, you guys, about this, and I just want to make sure that I covered them. Yeah. So I think I have. Yep, I think I did. Oh, yeah. Okay, I did. I covered all the points that I wanted to cover about, you know, does the narcissist really change and what's really going on inside of them. They are, you know, doing damage control. They're trying to win over loyalty quickly. That's the second thing. And they also are not looking beyond today. They're not looking into the future to see that what they're sowing today is going to come back later on and bite them. That, you know, they're taking on this new supply and telling the new supply more information than they've ever told other supply, possibly. But now, when they, you know, later on, actually, when they discard that new supply is going to realize, what the heck? Everything this turkey has told me has been a manipulation. So they're going to realize it at some point. Yep. So you guys, Crystal, good to see you, says, soulmate. I was, and now new supply is his soulmate. Yep. They use that term. And it's sad. They throw it around so much. Okay, you guys, let me see. Well, it's kind of difficult when they all live in your neighborhood. I can't afford to move. Yeah. That is hard. Angel, good to see you. I know they don't. Well, yes, they do, briefly, but the mask always comes off. Hold on, let me see what that's. Oh, I guess that has to do with soulmate, right? They all say soulmate. Yeah, you know, if you live near them, if you can't avoid, you know, the best you can do is compartmentalize. And that's what I really see there, that there's a benefit and a great use for being able to compartmentalize. And you have to be able to kind of put blinders on, you know, those blinders that you put on horses so that they don't get distracted. When you come close to these people, you just walk by them. That's okay. Just walk by them. Just ignore it. You know, if they say hi, say hi. Keep it cordial. You have to be able to compartmentalize those people in your life. Like, where do they belong? They belong in this very shallow, very, you know, non-intrusive section in your life. And you just brush by them. That's all. You know, if you have to see them, but then you turn your head. You know, nobody forces you to look at them. So just turn your eyes, focus on something else. And that's what, you know, if you have to live in the same place, if you have to work in the same place, if you have to, see them regularly or run into them regularly, try to change your schedule so you don't run into them regularly. Yeah. Well, it's kind of difficult when they all live. Oh, yeah, I can't afford to move. That's what the response was to. C. Thomas says, I do feel sorry for her, but I do understand because I was there. This is her second time around for her with him. Yeah. Yep, that's what they do. It's, you know, they recycle their exes, and if the exes are willing to come back, they'll use them again. And as we know, I've seen so many times in these comments that from people who have gone back, that is so much worse the second, the third, the fourth time. It is just so much worse. C. Thomas says, yes, to everyone else, they are angels. And I tried to tell a family member this week he's evil, but she looks at me like I'm crazy. Yes, yes. You know, let them expose themselves. At some point they do, and at some point they will expose themselves to the wrong people. The person who can take them down, you know, the person, or at best, and it's not bad to just avoid them. Just cut them out of your life, go no contact, move on with your life. That also works with a narcissist because they will eventually fall away from you. It's so good once they do. Joanne, good to see you. Says, ask yourself, do you change for the new rule of toilet paper? Oh my gosh. That's very, yeah, vivid there, picture you got there. But it's hilarious. Yes, you don't, right? The narcissist just does not change. And I hope you understand that now as we have talked about this. I want to go through a few more of your comments. Our hour, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's already gone by so fast. Our hour is over, but I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes and let you guys finish off some of your comments and greetings to one another. Sarah, good to see you. Yes, the wandering eyes, you said. Yeah, but they won't admit that. They won't admit that they're the ones pursuing all these people that they're cheating with. It's just all these people they're cheating with keep falling into their lap. Yes. C. Thomas says, yes, like I should just get over it and mom because relationships go through breakups, but they don't get the abuse we endured. It's true. It's that crazy gaslighting. It's that really the trauma bond. It's the really deep connection that they make with you, the promises, the future faking, you know, that keeps us bound for a while. And I want to say there is hope and you can become unbound by it. But yes, that's why there are these communities, because we understand each other. If we try to explain this to somebody who's never gone through it, they won't get it. They're like, oh, just get over it. You know, you break up with this person, you break up with that person, you know, you move on. They have no idea how deep the bond is with the narcissist. Mike, okay, C. Thomas says, Mike, family just thinks we're making it worse than what it is. She had money from an inheritance and 2 children. Better supply, I guess. I think she gave him an ultimatum. Yeah, you know, there's so many reasons why they may marry the new supply, but it's just a disaster. You have to know it is a total disaster behind closed doors because they just don't change. Now imagine being married to that, right? At least you didn't, you know, if you're on here and you're not married to the narcissist, at least you didn't get married, right? Or at least you got out of that marriage. You're free now. And they are now stuck in a marriage with this narcissist, with their kids, right? It's so horrible. Yeah. C. Thomas says she boosts his ego a lot on Facebook and he loves that. Yeah, you know, that's what they get. They really love that. The image is what's so important to them. Jihad says, I seek refuge in God from these evil people. And I agree with you. You know, that has also been a great refuge for me. Mike says, I quit Facebook. It was too dramatic and full of sadistic predators and narcs. Yeah, I'm almost off of Facebook. I'm on there very rarely now. PMGC says, this is exactly what is happening now. Oh, that was a while ago. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am so far behind on these comments. Oh, yeah. C. Thomas says that the children that he can mold the 2 children with her because my daughter with him figured him out. So he needs the little ones to keep his supply. Exactly. That's why they love the little ones, you know? Insane to me. Crystal says, my ex even slipped once and told me the new supply. She's a good person. She's insecure. That was one of the many hints that he's a predator. Yeah. Laura, good to see you. Says children aren't just supply, though they're work. Yeah, they are work, and the narcissist will soon leave because when they become work, they don't want to stay, for that. Or the narcissist stays because they really have no other alternative. They have nowhere else to go. Yep, as they get older. C. Thomas says, I'm off of Facebook now too because News Supply, I heard, would post to get back at me. Oh, that's another good reason to stay off. Oh my gosh. Yeah, C. Thomas says, they are work. Children are work. But it's confusing how the narc seems to love the children. But I still see a disconnect. Yeah, they're not that connected to the kids. They're not empathic with them. It's so weird because kids are much easier to manipulate because they're very trusting and they don't question. So the narcissist loves that. They love that they have a supply that doesn't question them and that would trust them. Yeah. And so they can be good to that supply for a longer time. You know, it's the supply that starts to question that the narcissist starts to abuse. So, or even if you don't question, they're going to abuse you anyway. But with children, they may not be abusive for a long, long time because the children will continue to give them supply without any question and freely. Shortchanged, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Says my soon-to-be ex's News Supply sent me a Facebook request. There were no mutual friends. I declined. She's a covert narc, the victim. I had already blocked her weeks ago. Yeah, you know, and that's the sad thing. Sometimes we have to do that because they may still be reeling. They may still, you know, they may be on the discard phase with the narcissist. But if the narcissist were to take them back, they would run right back into the narcissist arms. And the first thing they're going to talk about is what you said to them. And oh my gosh, you do not want to be in the center of that. Laura says, C. Thomas, my ex left me for a woman with 2 kids when my dad passed. Yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, C. Thomas says, they seem to leave when you're at your lowest. You know why? Because when you need, that means you can't give to them. So that's why they bail. They're like, wait a minute. What, you're in need now? No, I'm not going to give to you. I want you to give to me. And that's why they bail when we're at our lowest. RB, good to see you. Says, hi, I'm late. He told me he would never lie to her. He hid children from me. He told me his new girlfriend knows everything. I am so upset that he lied to me, but can easily tell her everything. But he's not really telling her everything. I hope you listen to the rest of this and realize that he really is not telling her everything. He's just manipulating her too. He's giving her the kind of information that will make her think that he's coming clean, will make her think that he trusts her. And so she's going to give him trust. She's going to give him loyalty because she's going to feel special that he's giving her all this information that she could use against him, I guess, right? He's going to act as if, well, yeah, now that you know this about me, you can completely use this against me. But not really, because he also has convinced her like why he had to do what he did. Okay, so she's still on his side. He's got a loyal supply now. And then later on, like you heard in my story, if you followed this video today, in the end, they will discard the News Supply or start to abuse the News Supply the same way they abused you. It just doesn't change it. The cycle just doesn't change with a narcissist. Yeah, Lori says, I was in shock, but I've been through all the stages of grief. Yes. Yes, that's what we do go through. We do go through the stages of grief. And that's why I say, you know, I'm not going to be upset with you if you're angry and mad and wish bad things on a narcissist or their News Supply. It's normal to go through that. It's anger, right? It's frustration and anger and pain that's coming out. You have to go through that phase. It's just you don't want to stay there. You don't want to keep holding on to that. But going through all the stages of grief will end up with relief and growth and healing. So that's a really good way of putting it. Thank you, Laura, for pointing that out or bringing that up. Jihad says, Laura, sorry that happened to you, but remember them leaving is the best thing that can happen to you. And yes, that's what I say. You know, when they leave, it's a blessing in disguise. It's such a blessing. We may not have removed ourselves. We may have stayed and endured the pain to the last day and missed out on life, missed out on meeting good people, missed out on, who you may be married to in 5 years. You don't know. You don't know where you might be in 2 or 3 or 5 years. All the good things that are now open and that you're open for, can come to you. This is so good. C. Thomas says, yes, RB told me the same thing, that he'll never lie to me. Then all the lies came out. They'll say same about New Supply, but it's a cycle. Lies never stop. Yep. Yeah, C. Thomas says, I was gaslighted too. Thought I was losing my mind. You do, because even arguments with them make you feel gaslit, because their arguments are so circular and so irrational. You just can't even understand how the heck a person can be this irrational. It makes you nuts. It makes you think like maybe you're the irrational one and they're somehow logical, and you're trying to follow their logic to make it work. And that makes you go even crazier. Oh my gosh, you guys. Lots of good comments here. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that we got to share today and go through all of this. I hope that you learned a few things today, and so amazing, so amazing. So glad that you guys are here. If you guys want to know any of the books that I recommend, by the way, go to my website. I'll put a link to it at the end of here, and go to the shop. And that's the only thing I have out there. I don't have merchandise and stuff like that, but I do have books that I've read that I just really think have made me grow as a person, have benefited me. So I wanted to recommend them to you. Yeah. So if you go there and use my Amazon link, that'd be great. Then I get some referral fee or something like that from Amazon. It doesn't cost you any more, but this way you get to also see the kinds of books that I read and things that have helped me. Yeah. Obi-Wan says, I encountered a narc that tried to blame me for a problem they screwed me out of. I say, don't try gaslighting me. It was almost as if they knew I was aware of their game and acted right since then. Wow. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to call them on it, but you also have to distance yourself, because they will continue to gaslight you, right? Just insanity. Just insanity. Guys, I'm so glad that you got on today. Let me see. I'm going to go down. Oh my gosh, Mike says, she even has my sociopathic dad spy on me, so he installed malware on my device. Wow. Insane. Yeah, they don't make sense. Jihad, yeah. So many things they do. It makes no sense. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so many comments here. I'm just reading through here, you guys. I don't have time to respond to them. Oh, RB, good to see you, says, I really wanted him to be my soulmate. He said we would grow old together. Now he will be growing older with the New Supply. Yes, and that, I know it's really painful to see that or to know about it, so you have to go no contact. In order for you to start healing, you have to go no contact, because the more you look, the more it's going to be painful, the more it's going to keep pulling you back into that pain. And I hope you see through all these comments and these videos that they just don't change. I know you're kind of at the beginning here of healing, but it's going to get better, and you're going to do great. You have so much incredible life ahead of you, and a real future, because any future that the narcissist tells you about is fake. All of their futures are fake. They're all dreams, and they may achieve part of that dream for, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe even longer, maybe a few years, but it ends because their futures are not real and not built on a firm foundation. Yeah, RB, he's, whoever he's growing old with, he's also abusing into their old age. Just think about that. Do you really want to be abused into your old age? You don't. So you guys, so glad. Holographic, good to see you. It's been a while. I didn't see you earlier. So glad that you're here too, but I'm about to get off. Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming on. Many, many blessings to you. I am so glad that you're supporting one another. This is why I keep this live stream going every week on Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Get on here, reconnect with each other, and encourage one another. We all have been through it. Those of you who are going through it right now, the most painful parts, stay strong, have hope. Know that there are some of us who have made it through, and we're good, we're happy, we're strong, we have good relationships now. And I want you to know that you will have that too. You can have that too. It's not out of your reach, but you have some healing to do, right? You have some healing to do, and you're going to make it. Things are good. Things are good, you guys. I just want you to remember that. Anyway, you guys, so glad that you came on. Love you guys. Wish you so much happiness this week. And I hope to see you again next week. And we'll talk about how things are going and how you're healing. Many, many blessings to you. And I'll talk to you soon.